Professor Lokesh. I'm going to explain the common source amplifier, and then the demonstration of the same experiment will be given. The common source amplifier, also called as CS amplifier. Let us understand the aim of the experiment. The aim is to conduct the experiment and determine the frequency response of common source amplifier. So let us see the design of the common source amplifier. Let VDD equal to plus 12 volts, ID drain current equal to 1 milliamps, and drain saturation current IDSS equal to 10 milliamps, VRD equal to 5.6 volts, and VP equal to 1 volts. So VP equal to 1 volt. Yeah. Now we have the formula for resistor RS. What is RS? VP by ID. So VP is the magnitude is taken because of the internal mass by internal FET. Therefore VP will be negative. That's why the magnitude is taken. So VP by ID into 1 minus ID by IDSS. That's square root. Now substitute the assumed values here. So 1 VP equal to 1 and ID equal to 1 milliamps. 1 minus square root of ID equal to 1 milliamps. IDSS equal to 10 milliamps. So we get RS equal to say 683.7 ohms. So we choose the resistor value which is standard value and nearest to this value, that is RS equal to 680 ohms. And we know that RD equal to VRD by ID. We have assumed VRD equal to 5.6 volts and ID equal to 1 milliamps. Therefore, we get RD equal to 5.6 kilo ohms. And RG equal to 560 kilo ohms is assumed. It must be a largest resistor. Therefore, RG equal to 560 kilo ohm. Right. Now, let us see the DC conditions of the amplifier. So, parameter, theoretical and practical. So, what are the parameters? Sorry, parameters which we are verifying for the DC conditions. One is VRD, other one is VDS, and last one is VS. VRD is the voltage across RD. VDS is the voltage between the drain and source terminals of the FET, and VS is the source voltage. And theoretical and practical values we have to find out for the parameters VRD, VDS, and VS. So theoretical values what we have calculated, VRD equal to 5.6 volts and VDS equal to 6 volts and VS equal to 0.4 volts. So these are the theoretical values. So once the circuit is wired and you have to measure the DC conditions practically using the multimeter in DC mode. So that comes, so we have got VRD equal to 5.4 volts in practical case, whereas theoretical value is 5.6 volts. So almost these two are following exactly or approximately following. Now VDS equal to 6 volts theoretically, practically we have got 6 volts. And VS equal to 0.4 volts theoretical value, whereas practical value what we have got is 0.6 volts, right? So it is done. Now we could verify the table here. The theoretical and practical values are almost same, right? Therefore, it is understood that the FET is working in the region where it could able to amplify the applied weak signal, right? Now let's move on to the circuit diagram. So this is the circuit diagram which we have to wire and obtain the frequency response. So you could see here 5.6 kilo ohm is design value and 680 ohm is the design value, and CS is electrolytic capacitor, that is source capacitance, that is 100 microfarad, and FET what we have used is PF5102, and coupling capacitor C1 is 0.1 microfarad. The main purpose of coupling capacitor 0.1 microfarad is used to block the DC component. Whatever DC component is there in this source, that this DC component is going to be blocked by this capacitor, and it allows only the AC signal to the FET, right? And then CC2 is allowing only the AC signal because we want output in terms of AC because amplified version of AC signal. So here, since FET is biased with the DC voltage, there will be some DC component here at the output of FET or amplifier, right? Therefore, so if CC2 is not used, so the output will be AC as well as the DC. So we should not get the DC component. We should get only the AC component. Therefore, the DC is going to be blocked by the coupling capacitor CC2. Hence, it is used. And the RS and CS provides the stability for the output current. So otherwise, the stability will be lost in the output current. Hence, RS and CS are used. And RG is a largest value, so resistor. So it is used for the biasing the transistor with satisfied voltage and current here, right? So next, we could see the frequency response here. Frequency response is going to be obtained like this. How do you get this frequency response? To get this frequency response, you have to wire the circuit. So whatever circuit is given, wire the circuit and apply the input signal in this circuit. V in what we apply will be in the order of millivolts. Say you can apply some 0.1 volts or 0.2 volts in such a way that you have to get the output. It is not saturated one. The output is not saturated one. So if the input is given in terms of volts, input voltage is given in terms of volts, the output gets saturated in the midband of the midband region. Therefore, you keep the frequency at midband and see that whether the output is saturated or not. If the output is saturated, you'll have to decrease the input signal. You'll have to decrease the input signal to the value where you get the output is properly sine wave and not saturated one. If you are getting square wave instead of sine wave, so it means that the device is entered into saturation region. Therefore, immediately you decrease the input signal to the value where the output is linearly varying with the input signal. For increasing input signal, output should also be in a varied. For decreasing input signal, output should also be decreased accordingly. That's called linearity. And output must be the amplified version of input signal. That's very important, right? So once you get the proper sinusoidal signal or undistorted signal for the applied input signal, then you could able to take the readings by varying frequency from 100 hertz to megahertz in steps of 100, 200, 1K, 2K, 10K, 20K, 100K, 200K, like that. You take the readings and corresponding V0, you note down for all the frequency components and calculate the gain. So once you calculate the gain, AV equal to V0 by Vi, express that AV equal to V0 by Vi in terms of decibels by taking 20 log of that gain. Therefore, you could able to plot the frequency response. So the corresponding truth table is shown here. You could see the tabular column or truth table, the tabular column. What is here? Vn equal to peak to peak. So voltage is kept constant. That voltage should be minimum. So minimum means, so you see that at midband output should be saturated. That is the input voltage you have to apply, and it should be constant throughout the frequency response. It should not be varied. Once it is fixed for the undistorted output at the midband, then the input should not be varied at any point of frequency bandwidth. Right. Next, you can see the frequency. It is written. You can see here 100 hertz, 200 hertz, then up to 1K in steps of 100 it is varied. After 1K up to 10K it is varied in steps of 1K, 2K. Then after that 10K, 20K up to 100K. Then 100K, 200K in steps of 100 hertz, 100 kilohertz up to 1 mega. Then 1 mega, 2 mega, 3 mega, up to 4 mega you could take, or you can stop at 2 mega also, not a problem. If you are able to note down the amplitude of the output signal, you can able to take the readings up to 4 megahertz. And corresponding V0, you have to take for all the frequency components. Then you calculate the gain AV equal to V naught by V. So once you calculate the AV equal to V naught by V, anyway V is constant for all the values and all the frequency components, and you express the all the values of AV in terms of decibels by taking 20 log of AV. So once you fill up this tabular column with all the frequency components, what is mentioned here, or the way it's mentioned here, then you have to plot the frequency response on the Simulink sheet. So you can see here x-axis frequency, whereas y-axis is AV in terms of decibels. The last column AV in terms of decibels, that you have, that values you have to plot on the Simulink sheet. So now, so after plotting all the values on the Simulink sheet, so you could come to know that what is the maximum voltage gain in terms of decibels. And once you get that, you just take 3 dB down from the maximum gain and draw an horizontal line. You see that where the once the values are plotted, anyway, after joining all the points, you will get this response. So once you get this response, then you will find out what is AV max. Then you will come down by 3 dB from maximum. Then you will see that where actually the AV max minus 3 dB axis gets intersect with the frequency response, and of the intersect points, from intersect points you draw a to vertical line to the frequency axis like this, and see that the lower frequency is called as F1 and upper frequency is called as F2. Now you could calculate the bandwidth of the amplifier as F2 minus F1. So once you calculate the bandwidth and AV max from the frequency response, now it is easy to obtain the figure of merit or gain bandwidth products, that is AV max into bandwidth. So this is the performance of common source amplifier, and the same experiment demonstration will be given later on. Thank you all.
Good morning. Today I'm going to demonstrate the experiment called common source amplifier using field effect transistor. This is the device called field effect transistor. The leftmost terminal in the device is gate, the middle terminal is source, the rightmost terminal is drain. So this is the wired circuit for the verification of DC conditions. So here we have connected only the resistors in the DC circuit. So the capacitors are not required to connect, and input signal no need to be applied while measuring the DC conditions. Therefore, only the resistors are connected in the DC circuit. Yeah. The resistor RG is of value 560 kilo ohm. It is connected between the gate and ground. The resistor RS, its value is 680 ohms. It is connected between the source and the ground. The resistor RD, its value is 5.6 kilo ohm. It is connected between the VCC and drain terminal. And now in this circuit, let us verify the DC conditions. So why do we verify the DC conditions? If the DC conditions are exactly appeared, then it is sure that the device is working in the desired region where it could perform the amplification. Yeah, now let us check the DC conditions using DC multimeter. And now we have applied 12 volts DC from the battery. So this is the supply, DC supply, from which we have applied 12 volts. Now the same 12 volts is measured using multimeter in the circuit. Yeah. Now we could see here there is 12 volts in the DC multimeter, which is measured in the circuit. Now let us measure the voltage across RD. So that is called VRD. So it is measured across RD. Could see there 5.43. 5.43. So as per the tabular column of DC conditions, we have got 5.6 as theoretical value, but practically we are getting 5.43. So approximately it is correct. Next, we'll measure the voltage at source terminal. That voltage is called as source voltage, Vs. It's a 0.7 volt as per the theoretical value we have discussed in the theory part. Yeah, now practically we are getting Vs as 0.67 volts. It is also matching the theoretical value approximately, right? Therefore, it is also correct. Now, the last parameter is to measure the voltage across the drain and source terminals. Therefore, the multimeter will be connected between the drain and source, between the drain and source. So now the positive terminal of the multimeter is connecting at the drain terminal. The negative terminal of device is connected at the source terminal. That is called VDS. So theoretically, the VDS is 6 volts, but practically we are getting 6.03. So both the values are matching. So these DC conditions are verified and assured that the device is functioning properly and it could be operated in the mode where it could do the amplification of weak signals. Now, let us move on to the circuit where the capacitors will be connected along with the DC circuit and the input signal will be applied. So just the circuit which you had seen is only the DC circuit. So now the additional components are connected. You could see here the capacitors are connected here in addition to the DC circuit components. Yes. Now this is the coupling capacitor of 0.1 microfarad. This is the coupling capacitor at the output side of value 470 picofarads. This is some 100 microfarad capacitor connected between the source and the ground, right? And input signal is applied. So now we could verify the frequency response. So how do we verify the frequency response? First, we have to set the frequency at the midband. So midband means the frequency or frequencies over which the amplitude remains constant. Those frequency components are called as midband frequency components. Let us choose one frequency component which is appearing in the midband where the amplitude of that frequency component remains constant. So now in the signal generator, initially we will set the midband frequency component and give the input signal maximum initially. Let us see initially, and you could see the output. So output will be saturated because of the large input signal. So we all know that in case of amplifiers, the input signal should be applied in the order of millivolts because it is going to amplify the weak signals. Therefore, input signal should be a millivolt signal. Therefore, output what we get will be the amplified signal, and which will be in the proper mode of amplification. Yeah. Now, I will demonstrate to you how the output will be saturated when the input signal is beyond its limit or larger input signal is applied. How the output will get saturated, that you could see. Yeah. Now, if you see the CRO, the above signal, the signal which is connected to channel 2 is input signal. The signal which is connected to channel 1 is output signal. You could see the input signal is applied as a larger signal. If you see the amplitude, see now, the amplitude of the input signal, say here almost 1.8 is there, 1.6 is there, 1.6 into 10. the scaling factor is 10, therefore it is 10 16 volts. And output signal amplitude, if you see, it is approximately 1 into 10 10. Now now it is not the matter of measuring the voltage here. It is the matter of output signal is, if it is a matter of observing the output signal whether it is saturated or not saturated. Yeah, now for input signal which is sinusoidal, output should also be sinusoidal but amplified one. But if you say the CRO, the output signal is almost like looking like a square type waveform, indicates that output is saturated because of the large input signal applied. Now we have to overcome this distortion, or we should apply the input signal in such a way that output signal should not reach the saturation region. Therefore, the input signal has to be reduced. So by reducing the input signal, the output signal will also reduce. That is, it is started coming out of the saturation region. Now I'll decrease the input signal amplitude. You could see there, as the input signal amplitude is decreasing, the output waveform is also approaching the sine wave shape, right? But it's not exactly sine wave shape. It is approximately sine wave, right? Now, input signal is applied as minimum with the 0 dB attenuation. Now, if I want to decrease the input signal further and get the output signal properly as sine wave but amplified one, I should go for the attenuation, 20 dB attenuation. That will be available in signal generator. Now I have applied 20 dB attenuation. Therefore, input signal is too minimum. Now I'll increase the input. I'll increase the input signal. Increase the input signal under 20 dB attenuation, and you could see there. See now, at this point of time, at this point of amplitude of the input signal, again output is getting saturated. The frequency, the amplitude, the input signal amplitude at which the output signal is almost sinusoidal and amplified version. So that will be the maximum input signal applied, right? You could see here in the CRO, see now what is that input voltage, maximum input voltage, which we can apply, for which output will not be saturated. Yeah, now let us measure the input signal. Input signal, how much it is? Almost, so almost 1 is there. So 1 into 0.2, scaling factor is 0.2. So 0.2 volts is the input signal. That is the maximum input signal we could apply for this common source amplifier, at which the output will be amplified version and no distortion. It seems to be a sinusoidal signal. So this is how we have to get the output without saturation for the maximum input signal. So once we once we test this process at the midband, then we could take the readings from 100 hertz in steps of 100 hertz up to 1 kilohertz, and you could note down the corresponding output voltage, and V will be constant throughout the frequency response, that is 0.2 volts. After 1 kilohertz, increase the frequency in steps of 1 kilohertz, and then note down the corresponding output voltage. Then after 10 kilohertz, in steps of 10K, take the readings and note down the corresponding output voltage. Right. Then after 100K, in steps of 100K, you take the readings up to 1 mega. Right. After 1 mega, you take the readings in steps of 1 mega, 2 mega, like that, 1 mega. Then 2 mega, in steps of 1 mega up to 3 mega or 4 megahertz frequency. And note on the corresponding output voltage. And one very important point, what you have to understand here is that the input signal amplitude is fixed. So once the input signal is set for the undistorted output, that input signal amplitude must be retained throughout the frequency response. It is very, very important. Then once all the output values are noted down for different frequency components, that is before midband, at midband, then after midband, you could plot all the readings on the semilog sheet and you could join all the points. Then you'll come to know that you'll get a frequency response. The frequency response, which we already discussed in the theory part. So before midband, the amplitude gets increasing for the lower frequency components. At the midband, the amplitude or gain remains constant for all the midband frequency components. After the midband, the gain starts decreasing for the high frequency components. So from the response, after plotting the response, so from that response, you could calculate the bandwidth. What is the bandwidth of this amplifier, right? And you could measure it easily. So we already discussed it in the theory part, right? You will find out the maximum gain. What is the maximum gain in the midband? And you will come down 3 dB from its maximum level. There you will draw two vertical lines to the frequency axis. Okay, frequency axis. Then you will come to know what is the lower cutoff frequency and what is the upper cutoff frequency. Taking the difference of upper cutoff frequency and lower cutoff frequency, you could find out the bandwidth of the amplifier, and maximum gain is easily identified with the frequency response, right? This is the performance of the common source amplifier, right? Thank you all.